Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Money Mondays. It's another session of Money Mondays. Today, we're talking about something that we have all, in one way or another, experienced or gone through, right? Or we know somebody who's going through it, and they're going through the most because it's something that you can't really run away from, right? It's called black tax. Yes, I'm doing an episode of black tax because I want us to talk about two aspects of black tax. I wanted to talk about the financial impact of it. Of course, it's Money Mondays, so we'll talk about the financial responsibilities, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you should avoid doing, and what you should enable yourself to do on the latter part of this episode. But I want to start with the emotional side of it, right? And I want to start by saying I think the name black tax, for me personally, is not such a good name. It's not such a good thing to call it, because when we call it black tax, we're almost saying it's like a negative thing. It's something that black people need to go through. And to be honest with you, it's not. A lot of groups, a lot of ethnic groups do the same thing. For example, I've got Greek friends, and they're very community-driven people, and they give to their families. I've got Jewish clients, I've got Jewish friends, acquaintances that I know, and those people, they will go to an extent of taking care of their neighbors' children, taking them to school, because that's just the community that the Jewish people, come from, and that's who they are. That's the people that they are. And so I think as black people, we shouldn't make it a bad thing to take care of people. I mean, we come from a place where you could go to where you could go to your neighbor's place and ask for salt, and it was not bad. And so I think as our generation, as the woke generation and the generation of me, we shouldn't look at things that generations before us did and worked for them and look at them as negative today, because it's not necessarily all bad. For me, black tax is not necessarily black tax. It's family responsibility, and you come from people, and you're going to leave people on the earth. When you die, you're going to leave children behind, or nieces or nephews, and guess what? They are also going to be connected to other people. And so in order for umntu ukuthi aphumelele udinga abantu, guys, and that's just what it is. So I want us to start by calling it what it is and what it's not. Black tax should not be a burden. It should not be something burdensome. It should be something that you actually feel pride in doing, that you are in a position, you are in a privileged position where you can take care of somebody else. You can help somebody else in your family, in your community. And when it comes from a place of love and empowerment, then it's a blessing. But when it comes from a place of, being begrudged and resentment, then it's gonna be a burden. It will be black tax. So mastalling or what to say, define what is black tax. Black tax is that responsibility that you have towards your family in terms of taking care of their basic needs, either healthcare, education, or food, or whatever, and even stretched out to a place where maybe you're building or you're doing something bigger in your house and your family. And as a black female, for me, it's a sense of pride when I can know that above and above being able to afford for myself to have a nice place, to have a nice car, but I can actually take care of somebody else. For me, that's a blessing. And when I give, when I do that, I do it from a place of understanding that I'm blessed to be a blessing, right? And so that's where it starts. And that's where, for me, it's really centered in, right? So we need to be careful about a few things when it comes to black tax, and this is where the financial part of it comes in. That number one, we need to be empowerers, not enablers. Right? We need to be empowerers. You need to be able to get your person that you're funding, you're helping, you're taking through school or life or whatever, to a place where they're empowered to do so for themselves. Because genuinely speaking, truthfully speaking, it should be for a timeline, it should be for a time frame, you understand, where you are getting somebody to a place where they can stand on their own feet. And that for me is empowerment. That for me is impact. That for me is legacy. You're going to die one day, and you want to know that you've done something to help somebody to get to where they wouldn't ordinarily on their own, right? And so for me, empowering somebody is that helping your family, helping your sisters, your brothers, your cousins in a way that you can, in a way that works for you, in a way that is within your budget and within your timeline, right? So that is number one. When I say we shouldn't be enablers, I'm talking about giving somebody, you're helping somebody who's got a shopping addiction, and they're saying, no, I don't have a job, I don't work, so I need money. But all they're doing with the money that you're buying is buying them clothes, or addiction into alcohol and drugs, That is enabling, right? So you are fueling to the problem that they have. You can call it support, but it actually is enabling a destructive behavior. And so we need to be able to clearly define what we're doing. If you're helping your family monthly, supporting them by giving them money, but all they do with that money is wasted, and the others end up wanting more from you, then you're enabling a very destructive behavior. And it's going to be a burden on you because you're not going to see the reward. But if you're empowering somebody, you're helping somebody with food, you help with clothes, with whatever, and this person is in need and they cannot do it for themselves, then that in its own is a blessing, and your reward is seeing that person emerge stronger and better because of what you've done. So cut the lines, and don't be afraid to cut the cord where you see that you're actually enabling wrong behavior, because at the end of the day, you're making a sacrifice to helping somebody, but it shouldn't be to enable any destructive behavior. It should be to a place where you're helping them to get to where they wouldn't get without your help and your aiding. And so one thing about black tax that I think for me, we need to clearly define with our families and the people that we are supporting and helping is clear communication. Don't be afraid to communicate what your expectations are. If I'm giving you 500 Rand a month, and you are in varsity, and you are my younger sister or my brother or my sister's child or my brother's child, I'm expecting A, B, and C from you. So clear communication also enables the relationship to flow, fluidly. Because if you don't communicate what your expectations are, and this person, you're giving them money every month, and all they're doing is drinking and failing in varsity or wherever they are, you're gonna get tired very quickly, because the hand that gives often gets tired more than the hand that receives. So always know that you need to have clear communication when it comes to the scenario of black tax or supporting family members. You need to have boundaries, right? And what are boundaries? Boundaries are set lines of communication where both parties know that they cannot cross. For example, if you're giving your family member, you're giving your mom 2,000 Rand a month for electricity and water, maybe rates at home, but 5 days later she'll ask you for another 2,000 Rand for something else, and then 6 days later it's another 2,000 Rand for something else, then she's crossed the boundary, she's crossed the line. And by you failing to communicate your boundaries, you are allowing that person to overstep. And when they overstep, it's going to be a conflict. So instead of getting to a place where there's conflict, always set out clear boundaries in any relationship, especially one where there is finances involved. So before you get yourself into a position where you want to fund somebody, you want to help somebody, make sure that you've communicated your boundaries clearly. And number 3, make sure that there's a time frame, a known time frame to both parties, because some people will be comfortable in the fact that and it should not work that way. You should have a clear time frame of, I'm giving you 2 years to finish your degree. I'm giving you 6 months to get your business started. I'm giving you this amount of time, and in that time I'll be supporting you with X, Y, and Z, so that they also know in the back of their head that this person is actually doing this to empower me, and therefore I have a responsibility to myself and I have a responsibility to the person who's funding me to get things done, right? If your family says there's a building project at Kaya, we want to fix the roof, all the children that are working need to chip in so much money, good, no problem. That's not black tax. That's you improving your family circumstance. For me, I think it's a blessing and a privilege to be able to do that. So what do? We all sit around the table, we communicate. I can only do this amount. I can only do that amount. We need this project. This is how much we need. Boundaries. I will not be able to give more than this amount on this particular day. And we have a time frame. We're fixing the roof in 6 months, in 8 months, in 2 months, whatever. Anything beyond that is going to be a stretch on anybody. So it's clear, it's communicated, and that way it becomes easy. Guys, if you think about it, a lot of the groups that we have, we usually say these things, and I don't like to, harp on the negative things, but we usually say, abantu abamnyama don't help each other out. You will see Chinese people in these groups helping each other out. Why? Because they have a sense of community. They have a mind of helping. They have a mind of, getting somebody to where they are. And as a black people, especially as millennials, we need to also have that mentality, not only of a me, but of how do I help? How do I empower? How do I have impact? How do I stretch out my hand to somebody who cannot, get to that place without my financial or my assistance or my advice or my whatever. So we need to be more impact driven instead of just making it a burden, because trust and believe that one day it could be you. It could be you when the roles are turned, and you need that person, you need that family member who's going to be helping you and seeing you through tough times. So it's very important that those things are done, right? And on the financial aspect of black tax, you need to be able to put yourself first. A lot of the people that I speak to, when I ask how are things going in your life, the first thing they talk to me about is their families and people around them. But very seldom will someone say, I'm okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Why? Because we get this thing where sometimes, and it's psychological at times, where we find value in what we do for other people other than finding value in ourselves. And that's a very dangerous place to be, because you end up overextending yourself to feel important, to feel valued, to feel appreciated by someone saying, oh, thank you for this money, or thank you for these shoes, or thank you for that. But you can't give yourself a thank you, right? So financially speaking, you need to always put yourself in a position where you feel like you're giving from a place of overflow. And when I say a place of overflow, I'm not talking about financial overflow. I'm talking about in your heart, right? Where you know that you've done enough for yourself to cover yourself, and now what is remaining, you are able to help other people. It's no point you trying to build your mom this fancy house, but you don't have groceries. Why? Because you're going to get tired of starving, and you're going to start resenting her for having that nice house while you're starving. So what is financially smart is to do something that is viable, something that is within your budget, something that you can actually afford to sustain. Because whatever you commit yourself to financially, you need to be able to sustain financially, right? So thank yourself, do things for yourself that are really going to help you to continue to give from an overflowing cup, right? So a lot of the young ladies that I speak to, especially the ones who just started working and they're so excited to start painting the house, start doing this, start doing that, but they never invest back into themselves. They often feel like they're being taken advantage of, or something negative to that effect. Sometimes it can be the case. Sometimes it's just the case that you're not doing enough for you, So don't put yourself last when you're in a position to give back to your family. Give with love, give with understanding, but always set your financial goals to a place where you also meet the things that you have set out for yourself to meet, where you do the things that you also need to do. And part of your black tax should also be the tax to yourself. Are you going back to school? Are you thinking about buying a new car? Are you thinking about doing this, doing that? Make that part of the conversation you have with your family, with your friends, whoever you're supporting. Let them understand and see that within their life and what is happening, there's also life happening with you, and that you have goals to achieve, and that you have goals that you set out for yourself, so that whatever you are trying to do, you don't miss the mark when it comes to your own personal life, right? So guys, that's my little bit on black tax. And I think for me, it's different for everyone. It's different strokes for different folks. Some people feel like if you've arrived, that's it, you don't have to worry about anybody else. And some people, feel burdened to go the extra mile. Do what you will, do what you may with your life, with your finances, but always make the right moves when it comes to supporting family and friends. Because there's one thing that you cannot choose, it's your family. And you cannot choose the circumstance that your family members, find themselves in. You don't have to be a hero and save everybody. Hear me on that. You don't have to have a survivor's guilt to say, oh, well, I made it, now I feel guilty for my siblings who haven't. You don't need to have that kind of pressure on yourself. Do what you can, do what you may, but always make sure that it's done to empower and it's done from a place of love. Otherwise, it is going to become burdensome, and then it is going to become black tax, whereas it's actually supposed to be like family responsibility. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are, what your experiences are on black tax. Like, have you bought your uncle a car that he never paid back? Have you tried to help somebody and, or are you struggling with black tax? Are you struggling with, maintaining your family's expectations of you versus what you can actually afford and do? So let me know what you think. Maybe I can help you. Maybe I can give you some pointers. Maybe I can send you to the right people who can actually ease the financial burden on your shoulders instead of paying everything up front. Maybe we can do financial plans in place where we can help you to help your family, but in a sustainable way. Guys, I love you. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Money Mondays. I look forward to next week Monday. I'm going to be talking about something else, something that you will get value from, something that you will learn from. So please like the channel, please subscribe, and please tell your family and friends about this channel. Thanks guys. Have a good week.